Some of the basic facts of the test just in case you don't know. The GED math test is organized into two parts. Part 1 is 5 questions. You cannot use a calculator. And part 2 is 41 questions, and you can use a calculator. You have 115 minutes to complete these 46 questions of part 1 and part 2. And beyond the two parts, part 1 and part 2, the GED test is also organized in 2 more parts. The first part is basic math, which is 45% of the test. And the second part is algebra, which is 55% of the test, and which is the area where most people have trouble. This test is based upon something called Webb's depth of knowledge. There are 4 depths of knowledge. Depth of knowledge 1 is just basic recall. Can you read something and know it? Is it very simple to read and understand? Is it a simple skill? Depth of knowledge 2 is skills and concepts. Do you know how to solve a percent? Do you know how to find the area of a rectangle? Do you know how to find the length of a right triangle? Use a Pythagorean theorem, for example. Depth of knowledge 3 is going to require a little bit more strategic thinking, more what they call decision points, places in the problem where you have to make a decision about what to do. And then depth of knowledge 4 is extended thinking. And on the GED test, there are no depth of knowledge 4 questions, but there are depth of knowledge 1, depth of knowledge 2, and depth of knowledge 3. In order to pass the GED test, you have to score 145 points. Okay, and this is true in most states in the country who continue to recognize the GED test. So let's jump in.
Pythagorean theorem and how to solve for the Pythagorean theorem. So just so that you know, the actual theorem itself looks like this. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Okay, so what I mean by a, b, and c, you're going to have a triangle, and it's going to be a right triangle, and every time you use the Pythagorean theorem, it needs to be a right triangle with 90 degrees. Beyond that, you have side A, side B, and side C. Side C is always the longest side, and side A and B are going to be the shorter sides. And generally when we solve these problems, we're going to be solving for side C. Let's look at an example kind of right here, and I'll show you how this works out. Okay, so we have side A is 5, side B is 6, and side C we don't know, it's just x. So if we plug those into this equation, so it's a squared, so that means 5 squared, plus, let's see, b squared is 6, it's going to be 6 squared, and we don't know what side C is, we're trying to figure that out. So let's put that as x squared. So we have a squared, b squared, and c squared. Okay, so now solving these out, 5 squared, or 5 times 5, gives us 25. 6 squared gives us 36, and let's see, that's going to be equal to x squared. Now just for saving space, let's pull the calculator out, and let's say 25 plus 36 is equal to 61. Okay, so 61 is equal to x squared. Okay, but we want to figure out what x is, not x squared. So to get rid of that squared, we need to take the square root of not only the right side, but also the left side. Okay, so on the calculator, the one you'll see on the GED is going to be a little bit, or set up a little bit different than this one. However, the sign or the symbol is going to be the same. It's this kind of check mark looking type thing here. So all you do to figure out the square root of something on a calculator, you just press the number, so we're looking for the number 61, and then you just press the square root sign. You don't need to press the equal sign. So it says 7.8. So we have 7.8, and then there's a bunch of numbers, but just for brevity, we just have 7.8. And then we're just left with x. Okay, so now we have x is equal to 7.8. Okay, but they want us to figure out what is the answer and how do you solve it, not the actual answer. Okay, so if we write out the formula, that means we have a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Okay, and then kind of going off the general formula from this example where you have a, b, and side c, Looks like here we don't know what side A is. Okay, so we're basically going to write out how to solve for that. B squared is going to be 8 squared. And then we have c squared, is always that long side, is 14 squared. Okay, so does that look like anything there? Now remember, they want us to figure out how to solve it. So let's see, in order to get a squared, or actually a is equal to whatever, we need to get this 8 squared over on this side. So in order to, I guess, cancel that out, we want to do the opposite of addition, which is subtracting 8 squared from both sides. Okay, so that means we have 8 squared is equal to, what, 14 squared minus 8 squared. Okay, does that look like anything? 14 squared minus 8 squared kind of looks like that one. And that one would be the best answer, but we haven't taken the square root of it yet, because remember, we want to find what is a, not a squared. So that's why it's going to look like the square root of 14 squared minus 8 squared. So that means the best answer there is going to be number A. And that finishes this problem and lesson on the Pythagorean theorem.